Let's discuss the surveillance mission and its consequences with Russ Baker. He's an investigative journalist and founder of the non-profit website WhoWhatWhy.com. Russ, as I say, you're an investigative journalist. Just how much damage will this do for you, getting information from your sources in the future?
Well, we don't rely much on leaks from government officials because we don't tend to trust those leaks anyway. We think there's usually an agenda behind them. This, frankly, is a story that I think is going to go in a lot of different directions, and I'm afraid that all of these comments from so-called experts are from people who have absolutely no idea what any of it means. What I smell beneath the surface is something very, very different than what is on the surface. I think that there may have been some kind of a power struggle going on, and the mentions of the possibility that John Brennan, who's now the CIA director, was being investigated by the FBI as a possible source of leaks to the AP, I think is where this story actually should go. In other words, who benefited from leaking information about the CIA having achieved this, essentially this coup in Yemen, and who wouldn't have wanted that information out? I think it also goes very deep to even the ouster of General Petraeus. And on our website, WhoWhatWhy.com, you can read about aspects of the Petraeus story that have never come out. It turns out that they were monitoring him years ago in his own dealings with Yemen. And of course, his ouster as head of CIA made it possible for Brennan to take over, and Brennan always wanted that position. So I think this goes much, much deeper than just the surface story that we're hearing.
But it does also raise that argument, doesn't it, about the ethics of journalism and finding that fine balance between national security with, of course, speech and privacy rights. So do you not feel, though, that journalists have been brought into line and slapped over the wrist for endangering national security?
Well, yes, I mean, certainly. I myself think that there's a grave risk that almost all of our communications are being monitored anyway by the National Security Agency. And in a sense, this kind of thing is a little bit, again, of a distraction, the fact that we probably don't have any privacy anyway. I highly doubt that the only time that our communications are being monitored is when the Washington, the District of Columbia DA goes to a judge and asks permission. So I'm sorry, it's not that I'm not upset about this, but that I think these kinds of things are constant, sort of, if you will, distractions from much, much broader problems, which is that all of our privacy is constantly being compromised.
But many would say for good reason, because of national security, and that obviously governments will be blamed if an atrocity does occur, and they didn't react to what they were finding by gathering intelligence.
Well, yes, of course, this is a very, very difficult question, but then it goes back to, I guess you and I are going deeper and deeper here, and I know RT likes to do that, so I guess it's okay. But on an even deeper level, we've seen how many of these so-called terror plots involved people who were egged on to some extent by handlers who themselves were